Welcome back to Growth Without Barriers. I'm Andrew Sherman from Jones Day. I'm here with my co-host Karen Kerrigan from the SBEC Council. We're very grateful to AT&T, our corporate sponsor, for bringing you these webcasts. We hope you'll find them very helpful. We wanted to talk for a moment or two about trends in leadership and governance, trends in what has been, I think, a very disappointing period of time, beginning almost from the Enron and WorldCom days all the way through the Madoff crisis and where we are today. There is a corporate governance component to it and a political governance component.
But you're right. You see it in politics. You see it in entertainment world. You see it in sports, professional sports, all across the board. At college sports, we see.
It's been a rough year.
Yeah, we see examples of what are these people thinking, and anyway, so it's very interesting. I think the timing is very good, Andrew, for your book, Essays on Governance, which compiles some terrific essays from noted people in the field on the importance of this issue.
The thought with the book was to really approach governance on a holistic way, not just think of it in terms of, I am the board member, you are the shareholder, what are the 5 fiduciary duties that I owe you as a board member to a passive shareholder, but to look at it more holistically and say, what is the essence of governance? What does stewardship mean? And how did we as a society, whether it's political leaders, entertainers, sports leaders, Congress, there was a point last summer during the budget fights that the approval rating of Congress had dropped to 9%. How could that be? How could, if 9 out of 100 people, if 9 out of 100 of your members thought you were doing a good job, how long would you continue as CEO of SBE Council?
Not that long.
Not that long. And so here we send 535 men and women to the Hill, and we entrust our governance in them. And how could it be that only 9% think they're doing a good job? How could it be that we've lost trust in coaches, in leaders, in heads of universities? We almost need a refresher course on what it means to be a fiduciary, what it means to be a steward.
So in that book, Essays on Governance, is it that refresher course in a number of areas?
Yes, yes, ranging from...
And what is the most critical? What do you think would be the top 3 critical areas? And why is there such failure in this regard?
I would say there's 3 major buckets. It's a very good question you're asking. One is the legal regulatory bucket about, what are your legal obligations? We're still not doing enough compliance training and new orientation training for directors and other things that remind them of what their obligations are. Even in the areas of not-for-profits, we've had our share of disappointments in the last 15 years around governance and embezzlement and misuse of funds. The second major bucket is in the areas that I've written about in other areas, which is innovation, driving shareholder value, creativity, making sure that the company doesn't have any wasted assets. There's 3 or 4 great essays, some I've written, some others have written, on what can the board do to drive innovation inside the company and to drive shareholder value. And the third bucket is more of an operation and systems bucket. There's some great chapters written by others on IT systems, on branding and marketing, on a lot of the operational guts of the company, and what is the role of the board with respect to those. So people like Bob Rosen from Healthy Companies, who's written 5-6 books of his own, wrote a book on what is the obligation of the board to protect culture. That's a cool topic right there. How many times have we been in board meetings, even together in board meetings, when no one's talking about culture or reward or compensation? We may be talking about mechanical issues, ERISA issues, things like that, but we're not talking about what is the leadership of the organization doing under the board's general direction to ensure that the culture and the mission and the values are all aligned. So very excited about the book. It just came out recently. I think that leadership and governance is not just a big company issue, it's an entrepreneurial company issue.
Yeah.
Think about it. In small companies, if you have 30 employees, your ability to lead those 30 employees properly can have far much more of a moving of the needle than if you have 30,000 employees. You can have a few missteps, and with 30,000 employees, the organization will recover. But you have some leadership missteps or distrust among your 30 or 50 employees, that's the end of the business.
Well, and there's so many small business owners, entrepreneurs who I think are leading, in this very area. I mean, who really are
You need to
role
learn from them.
models.
Exactly.
And it may have to do with, Andrew, the fact that, that you do, smaller businesses are obviously small. And although the issues they have to deal with are diverse and there's numerous, as you grow and as you get bigger, those issues definitely scale out. There's more regulations, more rules, more things that begin to kick in. And I wonder, and this is just a theory, particularly when it comes to what government is making larger, businesses do, if that's actually undermining governance.
Right.
That is, they have to focus on all these little things, all these details, all this. I mean, it's important, but you know what I'm saying. Sort of the scale now
Exactly.
of compliance, and then you're sort of losing sight of the big picture.
Preparing for that. And,
Yeah.
there are some baby steps that small companies can take. First, when you first start out in a company, you're kind of chief cook and bottle washer. You're doing everything. To even think about governance seems silly when it's just you and a co-founder. First baby step could be getting a coach or a mentor or some independent third party.
An advisory board.
And then build up to an advisory board.
Right.
Some companies now have 2 or 3 advisory boards for different types of functions. And then the big kahuna, the real board of directors with all the formal compliance stuff. And so there are ways for small companies to instill principles of good governance kind of right when they get past that startup stage and it doesn't feel odd, that you're not talking to yourself. And, practice through having coaches and mentors and key consultants, build up to an advisory board, build up to a more formal advisory board. Once you've got a really functioning advisory board, the step to a true board of directors is a baby step, not a big chasm.
Exactly. All good tips.
Thank you.